South India is in a grip of a record heat wave. Water bodies are drying up, reservoirs are being depleted, forests are on fire, and elephants are dying. Many districts are in the grip of an unprecedented heat wave with record daytime temperatures and unusually warm nights. Tamil Nadu, Telangana, Karnataka, Kerala, Andhra Pradesh, they're all recording unprecedented temperatures that are 4 to 8 degrees higher than normal, and there's no let up of the heat. So what effect will all of this have on the health of the people, especially vulnerable groups like children and the elderly? What effects will this have on the rain pattern in the region? And what effects will this have on the crop cultivation in this region? Joining me to discuss this are Mr. Chandra Bhushan and my colleague Nivriti Mohan. Mr. Bhushan, welcome to the News9 Plus show.
Thank you.
You know, one assumed that the southern states, the 6 states, all but one are on the coast, and the sea acts as a kind of a temperature regulator. But what's happened this year? Why has that regulator failed? Why are we looking at such record temperatures in the south?
I'm not surprised with the kind of temperature you are seeing in peninsular India, southern part of India. Precisely because this is not something which has happened for the first time.
Right.
There has been an increasing trend in temperature in fact from January onwards in coastal India. Mumbai this year had 36 degree temperature in January.
Right.
Okay. So, and this is, as I said, is not a new thing. We are seeing increasing temperature after Jan. We had actually in some part of the country heat wave in February last year.
Right.
Delhi was saved this year, but last year we had heat wave in Delhi in Feb.
Yes.
So the long-term trend is quite clear that we will see more heat wave, much rapid ramping up of temperature after January. The other problem with southern India is that is pre-monsoon moisture, humidity.
Right.
Now, if you add temperature and humidity together, it is much more lethal. So dry heat is fine. Dry heat, you can survive dry heat till 40 degree. But wet heat, which is called as wet bulb temperature, it will be difficult to survive wet bulb temperature of even 35 degrees.
Right.
Outdoor work becomes impossible after 30 degree of wet bulb temperature.
Right.
So the second problem that I see about in coastal part of India is how wet bulb temperature is going to look like. We only monitor dry bulb temperature, therefore, we don't have data on wet bulb, but my sense is that also the wet bulb temperature are very high right now.
Right, absolutely. Very alarming scenario there, Nivriti. Wet bulb temperatures is something that, the elephant in the room we rarely talk about, but the fact is it's a reality. But, climate change is a reality, Nivriti. We've been talking about it ad nauseum for the last couple of months. Tell us how the IMD has predicted more heat wave conditions this year. And it's only, increasing, as Mr. Chandra Bhushan mentioned. Every year is progressively hotter than the previous year.
There are climate predictions and weather patterns that affect the weather of different areas, whether it is Western Himalayas or the coastal India. But the biggest factor is the climate change. As we have spoken to various experts in our various stories. We did a story on Bengaluru when it was raining and Bengaluru was flooded, and then we did a no snow story in Himalayas in January this year when there was no snow. So all these are related to weather patterns, be it WD, be it El Nino, and El Nino increases the temperature of Indian Ocean region, and that can also be one of the factors that the coastal region is affected, and it is going to be like this till June of
till the
this
monsoons
year. June of this year, until El Nino conditions are there. But every expert told us that it can be related to the climate change formula overall. Like in the Himalayas, the temperature is rising by 1 degree per 100 years. In 100 years, it is rising by 1 degree. In coastal India and other parts, plains of India, it is rising by 0.63 degrees in 100 years. So this is how the temperatures are rising. If we talk about the heat wave, we need to understand what the heat wave exactly is. It is when, if we consider maximum temperature wise,
Right.
When the temperature crosses 45 degrees,
Right.
then you can say that it is a heat wave condition, or it is 47 degrees and
Yes.
above, it is severe heat wave condition. But another formula of the heat wave is that when the average temperature in an area, like we are talking about coastal India, the southern state, where the temperature normally doesn't go up to 45 degrees, but their heat wave is when it is 4.5 degrees above normal.
Above normal, in fact, yes.
So in hilly states also it is like that. If
Right.
the temperature goes 4.5 degrees or a few degrees above 30,
Yes.
then it can be considered to be a
No,
heat wave. So
in fact, let's, Nivriti, Mr. C.S. Patil is joining us. He's Director IMD in Bengaluru. Mr. Patil, we were talking about the heat wave condition. What explains the fact that Karnataka is seeing record temperatures this summer, and the fact that reservoirs are drying up? You know, just 6 months back, we were talking about flooded Bengaluru and, you know,
yes.
rains and floods in Bengaluru, and just 6 months later, you're looking at water scarcity and record temperatures of over 40 and 45 degrees in Karnataka.
Above 40 to 43 degrees centigrade, sir,
Right.
for the last few days. And even Bijapur, Bagal, Raichur, Ballari districts have been recording more than 40 degrees centigrade for
Right.
the last few days. And today also IMD has given heat wave warning
Yes.
for today. Tomorrow onwards, 1 or 2 degrees centigrade temperature likely to decrease. Even
Right.
then, temperature may go up to Kalburgi and northern part of the Karnataka around 39 to 41 degrees centigrade.
Right, 39 to 41 degrees. And in fact, Mr. Patil, yes,
Yes.
my colleague Muhammad Wajihulla is on the line. Waji, do you miss Delhi? The fact that, you know, you've relocated from Delhi to Bengaluru, and today Bengaluru is hotter than Delhi.
Well, Sandeep, I don't miss Delhi, but what I miss is the Bangalore that I used to live 20 years back.
Right.
For this, I've just prepared a small comparison that I've done in 2000, in the beginning of this millennium. The
Yeah.
average weather in Bangalore used to be at around 25 to 29 degrees Celsius.
Right,
Its temperature is at 35 degrees Celsius.
yes,
In 1973, our green cover was 70 degrees.
Right.
Today, those days have gone now. When we were known as the Garden City, today
Yes.
the green cover is at 7%.
Right.
In the beginning of this millennium, we were at 37%.
right,
Now, the built area of Bangalore in the 70s was close to 228 square kilometers. Today, we are at 741 square kilometers. So, this rapid urbanization has just screwed up the entire weather pattern in the
Yes.
city. Your heat waves, like Mr. J.S. Patil said, that certain areas are going to be expecting 38 to 41 degrees Celsius. Now, this is something that I have seen it in Gurgaon and in Noida. I have not
Right.
seen this in Bangalore at all. So
Right.
this is going to be very difficult for Bangaloreans because you are actually at a hilltop at 3,000 feet from the sea level. You
Right.
are right in the middle of both your oceans, both the seas, be it the Bay of Bengal or the Arabian Sea. You are just 300 kilometers from both the sides. So you are supposed to have a good weather. You're supposed, but if you have managed to even spoil that, that clearly shows you that the unplanned urbanization has clearly made sure that Bangalore is going to go even more hotter in the coming days.
Bangalore is going to be even hotter in the coming days. Unbelievable temperatures there, Nivriti. And Mr. Bhushan, you know, this is what we've been talking about for the last several months. The fact that, you know, we are now in a bus literally without brakes. It's just irrespective of whatever we do, we have reached a point of no return. Is that a fact now? The cities like Bengaluru, which used to be garden cities, which had the kind, you know, as Vaji was mentioning, yeah, temperatures of in their 20s and 30s, and now 40 is the new normal, 40 is the new 30. How do you see this playing out, and what must we really do to, you know, cope up with this kind of...
I think we have covered the entire spectrum in this
Yes.
debate so far. So there's climate change,
Yes.
for which cities can do, you know, in terms of decarbonizing. But I think the second problem is that we are doing bad buildings, and our urban design itself is very, very poorly done.
Right.
Bangalore is a classic case where we have removed all the water bodies, and therefore the sink for water and temperature and
Yes.
and the greenery as well. So the few degrees that could have been reduced because of city itself,
Yes.
a well-designed city cannot be done.
Right.
So one that we have to work at reducing emission and controlling temperature. That's a global agenda. That's a national agenda. Cities will have to work on that. But I think the bigger thing that cities can do is that we can get better building design.
Yes.
We can better cities design. Bring back water and reduce the concrete jungle that we are creating across across the country.
Right.
So we have to start talking about adaptation.
Yes.
Whatever we are going to do is not going to be sufficient. People will die. Last
Right.
year in Kharghar in Maharashtra, because of heat wave,
Yes.
in some sort of election rally at that point of time, a lot of people had died because of heat wave. And
Yes.
people do die in India because
Right.
of heat wave. So we have to start talking about heat action plan.
Yes.
I think I'm requesting IMD to change the definition of heat wave.
Right.
Our current definition of heat wave is not taking into consideration the humidity factor.
Yes.
We need to get a much more scientific and realistic, especially
Right.
for southern India.
Yes.
The humidity tends to be quite high.
Right.
And therefore, a right definition of heat wave based on wet bulb temperature is important.
Right.
And then every city has to come out with heat action plan. Every taluka and district should have heat action plan, because heat wave kills and it
Right.
will kill more.
Absolutely. And Mr. Patil, do you believe there's a need to redefine what a heat wave is? What Mr. Bhushan is saying, the wet bulb temperature, that's a phenomenon we don't talk about adequately. The fact that humidity kills far, is far more of a threat and a challenge than a normal heat wave is.
Humidity and temperature, this is
Yeah.
the combined effect. It gives comfortability. This is called comfortable index.
Yes.
This is more appropriate than just temperature.
Right. So there's a need to redefine the standards, you think, of a heat wave, given these peculiar conditions of humidity in the south. What is the state doing now to cope with this very unprecedented set of conditions, that you have a heat wave, you have reservoirs that are shrinking up, and the worst news that we heard today is, and the saddest in fact, is the fact that elephants are dying because of the heat wave and water shortage. What is the state government doing, Vaji, in the short term to cope with this crisis?
Just to give you a hint on how bad the situation with regards to animal is, a few days back, we've never seen leopards come into the city.
Right.
We saw leopards entering. We've seen elephants coming here a long time from in the Anikal areas, in the Anikal region.
Yes.
Because that's been the route they've been walking for centuries. But lately we've been seeing leopards, we've been seeing animals in the outskirts. Now that is because there is no water in the Kaveri basin itself, in the forest itself, and for that they're moving out of their comfort zone and they're coming towards the city to see if they can find something over here.
Right.
Now, when we talk about what the government is doing with regards to all of this, we have notifications every day. Till the last week, the notification was how we should control the usage of water. We should make sure that drinking water is not used for all the other purposes, such as gardening, maintenance, cleaning your vehicles, or cleaning your house altogether. I've even spoken to people who have said that they haven't had bath for a week because they are worried that that they will not have sufficient water. They're working from home.
Right.
Now what we've heard is the next set of steps that they are taking is one is that they are talking with a team of IISC who is now trying to see if they can convert the lake, the leftover lake that we have, into drinkable water,
Right.
so that water can be reached to people where it's not reaching. Secondly, they're also trying to cut down the water usage of bigger societies which consume close to 40% of the water. They've told them that now that will cut down to 20%. Now, on a daily basis, Bangalore on an average needs close to 3,000 metric tons of water. And we have a shortage of 1,500 metric ton of water. So that clearly gives you milliliters of water. So that clearly gives you an idea at which they are comparing. And now, in the 90s, we had 13,600 borewell water. Today,
Right.
6,900 of them are dried up. So at this situation, we are having notifications every day. But if you see the impact on the ground, there is a report that I done about with a wedding hall where he said that they do not have water, and they have to depend on the nearby MLA to provide water tankers to them. There are hotels who have removed their vessels, and they have started giving food to people in plastic plates or in disposable glasses or disposable plates, so that the usage of water is reduced because there is no water. So the people in the city are trying to make their own innovative ways in which they can. But the government, on the other hand, is only sending out notification. We don't see anything happening on the ground such. But what we've been told is that work is going on. People are providing water. But if we see the numbers and the data, it is a very worrying
It's very worrying indeed. And Mr. Bhushan, closing comments from you on this situation, because you're looking at what is Bengaluru today, could be any other major Indian metro tomorrow, like Mumbai you mentioned, Delhi is looking at another heat wave. What do you think Indian cities need to do to be prepared for this in the short term? You've of course mentioned the big picture on building standards need to be changed and we need to revive our lakes, reservoirs and green cover. But in the short run, what can people do in this summer of 2024?
I think what is heat actually, you also must understand who are the most impacted people on due to heat wave. Is the lower strata of the society who don't have air conditioning, who generally earn their livelihood from manual work. You know, manual work is not possible. Construction industry comes to halt during heat wave. They don't work during day. There is huge economic loss at the bottom of the pyramid. Okay. So I think few things cities needs to do is, first of all, to make sure that during peak heat wave, they are not allowing people to work outside. There is availability, so there is very clear warning and announcements are made about heat wave. Second, there is availability of water at public places. So that people who don't have money can't buy water. So drinking water, shades, bus stop, railway stations, they all must be stocked with, you know, ORS and other things, because people get dehydrated. So I think cities need to start preparing for the kind of, you know, the health impact that people are going to face.
Absolutely.
And that all comes under the, you know, you need to have a heat action plan.
Absolutely.
And what do you need to do?
A heat action plan. They're very thoughtful suggestions there, Mr. Bhushan. And the south is burning. It's Bangalore today. It could be any other Indian city tomorrow. And this is an issue that we're going to look at closely this year, because 2024 is going to be the record heat year. It's going to be the big burn again. It's going to be worse than 2023. And every year, in fact, is going to be worse than the year preceding it. But thank you very much, Mr. Bhushan and Mr. Patil, my colleague, Vaji from the Heat Sink Bengaluru, and my colleague Nivriti Mohan for joining us this evening on the News9 Plus show. Thanks for watching.
Streaming on News9 Plus. News is now content. Subscribe and get free vouchers.